You may have noticed that there have been many rumors going on about a Star Wars Rebels sequel coming out later this year. Well, I'm here to tell you the rumors are real, but I also need to break down what's actually going on. What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to the channel. Do me a favor and use those force powers to smash that like button, and let's get right into this. Oh, and real quick, if you are interested, at the end of this video, I will be giving a Gray Order update. So there have been a lot of rumblings about this Star Wars Rebels sequel series that's supposedly going to come out later this year. There have been multiple plot leaks about this, a lot of different people posting about this on Reddit, 4chan, and other places like that. But interestingly, I noticed some actually good scoopers talking about this rumor as well, most notably Jeremy Conrad from MCU Cosmic. And so I was like, whoa, what's going on here? What is actually happening? Where are all of these rumors coming from? And I did a little bit of digging. Most of the rumblings are all tracing back to this guy on Twitter. Now, this is Noah Outlaw, and Noah, along with Corey Van Dyke, are the people that are running this exclusive. They got this scoop first. It is out there. They both run Kessel Run Transmissions. Now, both Noah and Corey and Kessel Run Transmissions in general are a relatively unknown entity, and so a lot of people cast a lot of doubt on this scoop that they are running. However, it is worth noting that both Jordan Mason and Jeremy Conrad, who both have pretty good track records, are corroborating their report. And so I did a little bit of digging. I reached out to some of my sources, and I can tell you guys for sure that Kessel Run Transmissions, Corey and Noah, are not full of crap. They are actually referring to something that is going on at Lucasfilm. I have been told by a couple of different sources that there is indeed a Star Wars animated series coming that will be on Disney Plus, and this show will have Ahsoka Tano and likely Sabine Wren in it.
Some people wait a lifetime for a moment like this.
But wait, let's hold up, let's take a step back, let's talk about what's actually going on. I've also been told, however, that it's kind of hard to call this coming show a Star Wars Rebels sequel, and so that might not actually be what it is, and Noah and Kessel Run Transmissions could find themselves in a weird spot. If fans reject the idea of it being a Rebels sequel, they might be in some hot water. So for me, I don't know how much of it is actually a Rebels sequel. Like, for instance, if Hera is not in the show, if we don't see any of Jason Sandula, if we don't get much of the crew, and particularly if Ezra Bridger is not in the show, could you really call it a sequel to Star Wars Rebels? I also don't know about this release date. Now, Noah posted on his Twitter, and a lot of people are talking about this tweet, that it will be coming out in November. I don't know that to be exactly the case, but Noah is going with that, and that is the scoop. You see, the thing is, in the scooping game, and what happens with a lot of these different people, is that there's a lot of speculation and drawing of comparisons and just using logic to make these good reports out there that scoopers make, but they're not usually given every bit of information concretely by their sources. For instance, we've been talking a lot about the Illuminati, and I've been talking to different people about Illuminati, and Charles Murphy kind of explains it like he knows these guys and he knows that they're legit in the sense that they have good sources, but they also use a lot of different speculation, and some of their scoops have actually been proven to be incorrect. They just ran a story about how George Lucas was coming back to help on the Cassian Andor series, and that was debunked by a lot of people in the mainstream media, to the point where Star Wars Theory was actually going to do a live stream about it, and a lot of people must have reached out to him immediately and said, hey, there's no truth to that, I wouldn't do it, and he canceled that live stream. And so the bottom line here is this could be huge for Noah and Corey, and I hope it is. I mean, they seem like decent enough dudes. They are legit. They do have legit sources, but it all comes down to how much are they speculating and extrapolating out from the actual information that they have, and how much of it is ironclad, super solid stuff. But that's what happens in the scooping game, man. They have a very good exclusive here, and they are very boldly putting out this information. I hope for their sake that it is proven to be correct, and then we will probably be talking about Kessel Run Transmissions a lot on this show, as I'm sure they will go out and get other scoops and figure out more information. But now let's go into speculation town. Let's talk about some of the things that have been reported in these various plot leaks, and given the fact that the show is actually being developed, there's a possibility that some of this stuff is real. There's a lot of talk of Thrawn and Ezra in these plot leaks, and I find that awesome. Like, I would be all for that if that is the direction that the show takes. Some of the recent rumors and plot leaks have suggested that we will be seeing a much darker version of Ezra Bridger. They talk about how he's been sort of at war with Thrawn, working with Thrawn to fight against the Grisk, which are an alien enemy that has been set up in the Thrawn novels that Timothy Zahn has done for Disney. There's talk of him having this begrudging respect for Thrawn, and I really look forward to seeing that dynamic if it plays out that way. I have also heard people discussing the fact that the Grisk might not be the only enemy in this show, but that the Yuuzhan Vong, or a similar type species that's sort of an invading sort of imperial army that's pushing the Grisk further towards the known galaxy of the Star Wars universe, is going to be in the show. Now, all of that sounds absolutely fantastic to me, but I do think it's really interesting in general if the show explores stuff in the unknown regions, which it quite possibly will, because the last time we see Thrawn and Ezra, they take the Porgles and they sort of light speed jump away from Lothal, seemingly out into the unknown region. Like, frankly, it would be so cool if we get a little bit more mystery of what's out there beyond the known parts of the galaxies, perhaps even some more Force lore about things that had happened way far away from the known galaxy that could just fill in more of the mythos of the Jedi, the Sith, or maybe other factions. I mean, we already know, thanks to The Rise of Skywalker, that there are Jedi and Sith stuff out in the unknown regions, or at least Sith stuff, because there are the Sith cultists on Exegol. And Exegol itself has a bunch of different Sith types of statues and technologies, and those statues actually do appear to be the Dwardi, who are the philosophers that we see Palpatine idolize during his reign as the Supreme Chancellor. And I've always been really curious about that. Like, what is the deal with the Dwardi? Why are those 4 Dwardi philosophers so important to Palpatine? Were they secretly Sith? What's going on with that? And honestly, with a lot of the stuff I'm hearing about the High Republic and the way that Lucasfilm looks to be building out the Star Wars mythos and telling Star Wars stories for the next 8 to 10 years, it would be so cool if the Rebels sequel series, or whatever the series ends up really being, will actually explore things out in the unknown regions that might have had ties to the High Republic era. Now, there's a couple of other things I want to bring up. Number one, it's so cool, the idea of Thrawn and Ezra's story continuing to being told. I love both of those characters, and particularly if Ezra goes a little bit more dark side, gets a little bit more hardened the further away he is from Kanan, like not just physically, but like metaphorically. He's very far away from Kanan's teachings. And Thrawn, I mean, Thrawn is the type of dude that, like, if you spend time around him, you're going to start to admire him, even if you don't want to. So there, again, that begrudging admiration for Thrawn could shift the psyche of Ezra Bridger to a little bit more of a militant, dark side self. But the only reason I sort of doubt that this will actually take place in the show is because I feel like Disney, and particularly Dave Filoni, might hand that type of a story over to Timothy Zahn. I mean, this is just something that I really think Filoni would want Zahn to tell, so I think at least part of that story will be told in a future Thrawn novel that is written by Timothy Zahn. I've also heard some conflicting reports about Dave Filoni's involvement in this show, and that frankly has me concerned, because if you look at Star Wars Resistance, this is sort of an example of what can happen when Dave is heavily involved in the development of a thing, but not the actual production of a thing. Dave Filoni helped kick off Star Wars Resistance, but then sort of went away and wasn't heavily involved with what they did with the show. The idea of Ahsoka being heavily involved would make me think that Dave would likely be heavily involved as well. But I've also heard some really weird things about like what Dave is even doing over at Lucasfilm right now, if he's sort of being promoted or if he's involved with other things like Mandalorian or potentially other live action stuff. He only has so much time, and so it's concerning to me if we get this show without Dave really at the helm, because I frankly am a huge Filoni fan, and I think that Clone Wars and Rebels are way above the quality of what I have seen in Resistance, and I would just hate to like sacrifice that quality and sort of tell like a Rebels 2.0 light version of this story. So that's basically the news. That's everything I know about this Rebels sequel series rumor. It is not complete bullcrap. These guys over at Kessel Run Transmissions, they are legit. They have legitimate sources. We also speculate about some of the things popping up in the different plot leaks for this coming show and some of the things that I have heard and the things that I'm excited for. So honestly, let me know what you think about this report. Are you pumped about this? You totally buying Noah and Corey's scoop? Or you think, hey, maybe not, maybe they're a little bit off? Whatever your thoughts are about that and some of the speculation we talked about, let me know in the comment section below. Okay, so now I want to give an update about the Grey Order and really my involvement with the Grey Order. Many of you have heard the rumors and they are true. I've decided to walk away from the Grey Order. There are a couple of reasons that I and the team at the Den of Nerds have come to this decision. Number one, the Den of Nerds has always been a place that likes to cut through the BS, the clickbait, and the divisions that are going on in fandom. We've always lived by this mantra of for fans, by fans. We're just fans, and we want to make content about the things we love for other fans that love this stuff as well. When I created the Grey Order, despite my intentions, a lot of the already established Den of Nerds audience saw this as a vast deviation from what we had done the years before. So basically, a lot of Den of Nerds fans didn't like us doing the Grey Order. The number two reason I'm walking away has to do with the fact that the content in this video, right up into this announcement, that's the content that I really want to make. That's the stuff that I love doing, and I think that's the stuff that people have grown to expect from us over the years. So if a large part of our audience didn't like it and didn't want the dramatic content, and I myself didn't really want to be making that dramatic content, it's kind of a no-brainer, and that's basically why I'm walking away. Now, the Grey Order still exists, and there have been a lot of people doing a lot of hard work to grow it into something special, and that's really cool, but the direction it is taking does not align with my original thoughts and views about what it was supposed to be. And rather than get in some weird fight or try to divide it, I'm just simply walking away and allowing it to be whatever it's going to be now. Now, to be completely honest with you, I do feel like this is a loss, and I do feel like I let some people down, and honestly, I just didn't have the proper time to put in work in the Grey Order to sort of set it up in the way that I thought it should be. So that's pretty much it, guys. I'm no longer associated with the Grey Order. I'm walking away. The Den of Nerds is no longer associated with the Grey Order, but a lot of the stuff that we had been doing for the Den of Nerds does still embody some of the ideals that at least I had in mind when I created the Grey Order. And so in 2020, I want to just focus more on that. I want to focus more on the Den of Nerds, on the Den of Nerds Live, on the Den of Nerds Gaming, and growing our brand in a way that's open for all kinds of different nerds and, of course, respectful discussions about even the most difficult topics addressing fandom today. And now let's shout out Alex. Dash Rendar ship was indeed called the Outrider. So shout out to you, Alex. And now let's ask another nerd card question before we get out of here. I want to know, what does the Chiss Higher Ascendancy call the young Force-sensitive people of their race? It's kind of an interesting answer. Let me know the answer in the comment section below. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.